Hey guys, tonight we drift into something older than words and deeper than memory. The stars haven't been born yet, the winds have never whispered, and yet something listens. You open your eyes and there is no sky above you, only a shimmering veil of nothingness, humming, like the inside of a breath not yet exhaled. You lie in dust, but the dust is warm. It pulses beneath you, slow and sacred, as though it carries the heartbeat of something enormous. And sleeping. The ground seems to breathe. A thin light, softer than fire, brushes your shoulder. There is no sun, but there is a glow, like the skin of a thought before it's formed. You try to sit, but your body hasn't fully arrived. Your spirit draped in shape, unburdened by the rules of time. And the dust welcomes you. It curls gently over your feet, coats your fingers with a language you don't yet speak, but you feel it. A murmur beneath the surface. Not words, but meanings. Pre-words. The roots of syllables that will one day fill scrolls, sanctuaries, and psalms. You touch your tongue to the roof of your mouth and notice something missing. There is no word, not yet. You know you were formed from this dust. That much has been whispered into your being, though you do not remember hearing it. Something called you here. Something shaped you with breath. But even the breath was not yours. In Genesis, it's written that you were formed from the ground. The Hebrew says Adamah, earth, red clay, life's first cradle. But what it does not say, not aloud, is that the dust already knew your name. Before your bones hardened, before your lungs drew in the first echo of Eden, the particles beneath you held memory. Some say the dust heard the name before God formed your ears. You hear a sound now, faint, rhythmic, like a heartbeat, but not yours. It's the pulse of the earth, speaking in vibrations older than sound. You listen with more than ears, you listen with your being. And then the dust beneath your palm shifts, letters rise. Not in Hebrew, not in Aramaic, something earlier. Each curve glows faintly with breathlight, curling in the shape of meaning, not phonetics. You don't read them, you remember them, or almost do. One of the letters curls back onto itself, humming gently. It feels like a name, not yours but something close to you. A name so soft it must be carried by silence. In the Book of Jubilees, it is said that angels wrote on tablets before men could speak. Some say these tablets were made of living dust, etched by the breath of heaven itself. Some even say that Adam was meant to recite. Before he could speak, that language was never meant to be invented, only remembered. But you do not remember. You reach for the ground again, but the letters have faded. The dust turns smooth, still warm, still listening. You press your fingers into it and feel resistance, as if something lies just beneath the surface. You dig without digging. The air here doesn't smell like anything you've known. It smells like intention, like the idea of wind without the wind. You breathe in and your chest fills, not with air, but with awareness. You're not alone. A soft hum hovers above the earth. Not a creature, not a form, just a presence, waiting, watching. It does not speak, it listens, as if it's waiting for you to say something, but you do not know the word. You try, your tongue moves, your lips follow, but the shape of the word escapes you. You taste it. A letter, then another. But they collapse before they reach sound. Some say Adam was created with the ability to speak all languages at once, but chose silence first because speech would fracture the unity of things. Others believe he spoke only in breath until the fall. Still others say he forgot the first word, the one that would have kept him whole. Perhaps that's why the dust knows more than you. Perhaps what you forgot is not the sound, but the silence that came before it. And the dust, this dust that feels like memory, has never forgotten. You rise gently, though your feet do not quite press into the dust. The earth beneath you feels alive, more than alive. It remembers you. And yet, you feel the space inside your mouth where something should be. A word, a sound, a fragment of the first breath. But it does not come. Your tongue moves in soft patterns. You trace the inside of your teeth, the curve of your palate. Every surface is familiar but untouched. There is potential here, like a scroll before ink. But your voice remains unborn. You try again. Nothing. No air. No crackle of consonants. No warmth of vowels forming. The garden is quiet, but not mute. It's you. You, the first speaker, and yet voiceless. In Genesis, you are told, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul." Living, but not yet speaking. You are made, but unfinished. Some say Adam knew the name of God before he spoke his own, that the sacred syllables rested beneath his tongue, too powerful to shape into breath. Others say the first tongue was not a language at all, but light encoded into thought, passed between soul and soul like glances across eternity. You wonder. The trees do not speak, but they rustle as if they understand your silence. Their leaves shimmer without wind. Some are shaped like question marks. Others are shaped like ears. You wonder if they're listening for something. Your tongue feels heavier now, as though a truth has taken root beneath it. Just a seed, not ready to sprout. You step through a grove that curls around itself like a spiral. The path doesn't lead forward, but inward. The further you go, the more you feel a weight in your throat, a phantom syllable. You don't know how you know this, but it belongs to you. Not your name, deeper than your name. A sound you were supposed to carry into the world, but it slipped from you before breath could lift it. In the Book of Enoch, watchers were said to teach humans forbidden knowledge, the signs of the sky, the tongues of metals and roots. But it's whispered that before the watchers ever spoke, there was a single utterance, the unworded name, that was given to Adam but never used. Some say he held it in his mouth for 1,000 heartbeats, unsure if it was a gift or a trap. You sense it now. That word, coiled like a vine behind your tongue. You kneel and scoop the earth again. This time, it clings to your skin like memory. You look at your hands and realize the lines on your palms resemble letters. Not random, not chaos, a pattern. Your hands were always trying to speak, and still your tongue cannot follow. The silence is not absence, it is structure. It is the container that once held fire. And you are the vessel, not broken, not incomplete, just waiting. A soft breeze passes over your lips, your mouth opens slightly, and yet nothing. But that nothing shivers with meaning. Some mystics say that Adam's first word was neither praise nor question, but a mirror. That the sound was shaped like a circle, rolling gently from the center of the soul and outward, returning to God what God had placed there. And when Adam forgot it, Eden trembled. Could it be that what you forgot was not the word, but the mirror itself? The garden does not judge, it waits. A tree nearby drops a single leaf. It falls slowly, not down, but sideways, as if undecided. It brushes your cheek and you feel a memory, not your own. A baby's first cry, a prophet's last breath, a forgotten lullaby hummed by a mother no one remembers. These echoes are not yours, but they pass through you. You sit beneath that tree. Its bark pulses faintly with breath. You place your hand upon it and feel something stir in your throat, a vowel, open and soft. It lifts and twists, but just as it nears your lips, it crumbles into dust. Even your voice has returned to the ground. You close your eyes, and in the stillness, you feel it again, that sacred tension beneath your tongue, like the hush before thunder, the pause before a name is spoken across eternity. What was it you were meant to say? Or were you meant to carry it in silence as a seal? Some say Uriel whispered into Adam's breath the syllables of heaven, but that Adam, out of love or fear or reverence, swallowed the last one whole. Perhaps what rests beneath your tongue is not forgotten, but deliberately hidden. You move again, not walking so much as drifting, guided not by desire but by memory, or perhaps the memory of a desire. The garden around you glows, not with sunlight, but with presence. The trees lean subtly in your direction, and each step feels like stepping deeper into a breath held since the dawn. Ahead, a tree rises unlike the others. Its trunk spirals like a shofar, and its branches stretch outward like a question reaching toward heaven. The leaves shimmer softly, gold on one side, green on the other. And as you approach, you hear something strange. The garden is humming. Not music exactly, not song as mortals understand it, but resonance, like strings plucked in the soil, like roots murmuring secrets to the sky. You place your hand against the bark and feel vibration. Each pulse echoes in your chest. The tree is singing, not loud, but through you. It is said in ancient texts, not in Genesis, but whispered between lines, that Eden was not just a place, but a frequency, a tone sustained by the voice of the Creator, before language, before even light, a harmony that held all things in stillness. And you, Adam, were born into that sound. Some say this tree is the one planted near the tree of life, not mentioned by name, but present, the singing tree. It spoke not in commands, but in invitations. It hummed when you were near, and fell silent when you turned away. You circle the tree slowly. Its roots form gentle loops, like cursive drawn in stone. You brush a hand across a low-hanging leaf, and the sound sharpens, just for a moment. You hear a note you recognize, but cannot name. A note that stirs the place beneath your tongue, where the first word used to rest, and then it fades again. You close your eyes, trying to hold the resonance inside your chest, but it moves, not away from you, but deeper within. The leaf you touched drifts down. You catch it. It is warm. You hold it near your lips. The leaf hums faintly in your palm as if it wants to speak or wants you to speak, but your tongue still falters. In Genesis 2, the garden is described as a place of perfection, but the details are few. It names the rivers, mentions the trees, and places Adam there to dress and keep it, but it does not say what the trees told you. The Book of Enoch hints at it, that the trees held language of their own, a language of light and tone, that watchers listened to the trees before they ever looked upon humankind, that angels once danced near the roots to learn how not to forget. You lean against the tree, exhaling slowly. It responds with a low, almost imperceptible chord. It's not music, it's memory. And suddenly, you remember a moment, just a flicker, you standing in this very spot long ago, before the fall, before the naming of beasts, and in your mouth, a word not made of letters, but of tone. You weren't saying it. You words it, and it fit beneath your tongue like the breath between prayers. But now it's gone again. You open your mouth to repeat the sound, but what comes is a silence too perfect to break. The trees hush. The ground softens. Even the awe stills, as if holding its breath alongside you. The word is not ready. Or maybe you are not. Some say Eden was tuned to a divine chord, that every plant, stone, and breeze echoed the voice of God. And Adam, in the beginning, could hear it all. Not just listen, hear, fully, completely, until the sound grew too intimate, too sacred to bear. And so you buried the word beneath your tongue, not out of shame, not from sin, out of awe. You sit now at the base of the tree, and it seems to lower one branch toward you, gently, like a hand on the shoulder of someone grieving something they can't quite name. The branch curls slightly, and a single fruit dangles from its tip. It does not tempt. It waits. You do not reach for it. Not yet. Instead, you place your hand on your chest and feel the place where your voice should stir. Not the voice you've used for animals or prayers, the older one, the one formed in stillness, the one the tree still remembers. And you wonder, not with fear, not with hope, just with softness. Did you forget the word? Or did you choose silence so the world would not shatter? The branch above you sways gently, though there is no breeze. The fruit it bears is smooth, veined with faint lines, like breath marks pressed into flesh. It does not glow, it does not shimmer, but it hums, so faintly you feel it more than hear it. A frequency that stirs something behind your ears, low and deep, like thunder still wrapped in clouds. You do not touch it. Not because you're forbidden, not because you're afraid, but because it isn't time. Some part of you knows that the fruit sings not to be eaten, but to be remembered. It vibrates with memory. Not yours perhaps, but memory all the same. You rise and drift past the tree, the sound of its song dimming with every step. The garden opens before you again, vast and strangely folding in on itself, as though you're walking through the interior of a dream you haven't finished yet. Then, without warning, you hear something else. Not the trees, not the dust, not the river you will one day name, but a whisper. It does not come from above, it does not come from the side, it rises from below, from beneath the garden floor. The tone is different, colder, coiled like smoke, a language you almost understand but don't want to. You stop. There, leaning between two fig trees, is a figure, not standing, not sitting, waiting. Its form is indistinct, like mist given posture. You can't see its eyes, but you feel them, fixed on you, not with hunger, not with menace, with offering. The air around it feels thinner, as if space bends to make room for what it knows. Its voice, if it is a voice, rises again. This time, closer. Not in your ear, in your chest. It speaks syllables you can't repeat, but your body understands. Words that brush against the space beneath your tongue, testing it, tempting it. You step back. In the shadows of sacred texts, this figure is unnamed, but some traditions call it the Whisperer. Others say it is one of the Watchers long before they descended. Still others believe it is not a being at all, but a memory of a conversation never written down. In apocryphal writings, there are accounts of a first voice, not divine, but echoic, that mimicked the breath of God to twist the sound into something half-true. Not a lie, but an inversion. A language of resemblance, software persuasive, ancient. This whisper is one of those echoes. The figure tilts its head, or seems to, and in your mind, you hear a name. Not your name, but close. So close it makes your breath catch. The space beneath your tongue grows warmer, almost fevered. The forgotten syllable buried there begins to tremble, stirred by the vibration of the whisper. It doesn't want to be spoken, but it's awake now. The figure reaches out, but not physically. Its gesture is more like a question posed to your will. You could answer. You could open your mouth and let the buried sound rise. A single note shaped like the garden's first breeze. But you don't. Not yet. Because the vibration from the singing tree still lingers in your chest, and this sound is different. It's too sharp at the edges, too rehearsed. You retreat a step, and the figure says nothing. But the silence is heavy. Some say this moment never happened, that Adam never met the whisperer until the serpent. But in desert traditions, there's a tale of a silent angel who tried to give Adam a word, a shortcut, before he was ready. And Adam refused. You feel that weight now, the responsibility not to speak before you can bear the truth of your own voice. You bow your head slightly, not in fear, but in reverence. The whisper fades, not angrily, not in defeat, just retreating, back into the folds of time, back into the soil, back beneath the fig trees that remember everything and say nothing. You're alone again, but you are not untouched. Something stirred beneath your tongue, something ancient, something delicate, something sacred. You do not know what it is yet, but it is yours, and it is not ready to be given away. Some say the watchers were punished for speaking before listening. Some say you were blessed for waiting. Either way, you walk on, and the garden hums your silence back to you. The trees begin to widen now, as if the garden itself is breathing out, offering you space. You move with reverence, steps soundless over soil that remembers every footfall. The air tastes older hair, heavier but rich, like smoke trailing from incense no hand ever lit. You come to a clearing. At its center stands a fig tree, tall, solemn, still. You've seen others like it, but this one bears fruit shaped more like teardrops than figs. Their skins shimmer with a soft, dusky gold as if dipped in sleep. You draw close and something stirs inside you. Hunger? No, not of the body. This is the ache of memory, of tasting something you once knew but lost. A yearning that belongs not to the stomach but to the soul. The tree doesn't reach toward you. It waits. You sit beneath it, and the ground here is cool, like shadowed stone. The tree's bark is etched with fine lines, not quite writing, but almost. You trace your finger along them and realize they don't mark time, they mark remembrance. Some believe this is the tree under which Adam wept, not from guilt, not from shame, but from the sorrow of forgetting something too beautiful to hold. You glance upward, one fig, more luminous than the rest, pulses faintly above you, and then it falls. You don't flinch. It lands beside you with a soft thud, rolling slightly until it rests at your side. You do not touch it, but you feel its pull. In Genesis, there is no mention of figs in Eden. Only the fig leaves appear, hastily stitched together in the first moment of shame. But some mystics say that before that day, there was a tree whose fruit could make you remember. Not knowledge, not good or evil, but origin. The fruit at your side hums faintly. You lean down to smell it. And then a flash, not of light, of memory. You see your own hand once upon a time reaching for this same fruit, but not to eat, to bury. You remember digging, not deep, not desperately, but solemnly, placing a fig like this into the earth, whispering something to it before covering it again. What did you say? The whisper is gone, but the fig is back, and the earth beneath it seems to pulse. In the Book of Jubilees, there's a hidden fragment that speaks of fruit older than the tree. It suggests that certain seeds existed before Eden, relics of a higher garden, a place unspoken even among angels, and that these fruits carry truths meant not to be consumed, but to be guarded. You wonder now, was this fig meant for tasting? Or is it the burial place of a syllable? Your tongue stirs again, that familiar warmth beneath it, the unspoken word. You feel it twitch gently, trying to rise. The fig pulses. It feels as if the sound buried in your mouth is being echoed inside the fruit skin, not copied, but remembered, as if both of you were fragments of the same thought, long ago forgotten. You touch the fig lightly. It vibrates, a line forms across its surface, not a crack, a smile. And then it opens, just slightly, revealing no seed, no flesh, no pulp. Inside is only air. You lean close, and the air within smells of something wordless. The pause between prayers, the hush between lightning and thunder, the soft gasp when truth almost arrives. And just like that, the fig closes again, seamless, whole. You breathe out slowly. Some say the fig trees were planted by angels who couldn't forget, watchers who lost their tongues in flame but tried to record the names they loved in fruit. Others believe the trees speak in dreams to those willing to sit long enough beneath them. Perhaps this is not a tree. Perhaps this is a doorway shaped like stillness. You lie back against its roots and they curl slightly around you, not to bind, to cradle. You feel your tongue relax inside your mouth. The word still sleeps beneath it, softer now, like it's dreaming. The fig at your side hums once more, then stills. And in that stillness, you remember. There was a time when you could speak without breaking things. You sleep, but not in the way you once knew sleep. It's a slowness that deepens, a descent into the folds of creation itself. Beneath the fig tree, time loosens like a knot unraveling under warm water. Your breath becomes soft rhythm. Your body becomes earth. Your silence becomes language. When you stir, it is not mourning. There is no mourning here, only states of remembrance. And above you, drifting like a snowflake made of memory, is a single white feather. It floats with no wind, as if drawn by something within you. It spins slowly, catching light that does not fall from the sky. When it lands, it rests gently on your chest, right above your heart. You touch it, and something inside you tightens, a joy, maybe, or sorrow. A yearning so ancient it has no name. This is not an ordinary feather. You know that without question. In the Book of Enoch, it is written that the archangel Uriel descended to guide, not to punish. That his presence was gentle and burning, like a candle held in fog. Some say he once dropped a single feather from the edge of the firmament, and that it carried not fire nor law, but a sound that no one remembered and yet everyone recognized. You hold the feather now and it's warm, Not from the sun, there's no sun here, but from intention. A feather that remembers where it fell from. You bring it near your lips. It hums, not in tone, but in feeling. As if the feather itself is vibrating with a syllable it cannot say. A syllable you almost remember. Your tongue awakens again. That familiar soft heat. The feeling of something trying to bloom from silence. And the feather pulses once, then twice. You close your eyes, and you hear it. Not with your ears, but behind your ribs, where spirit listens. A sound like breath held in gold. A sound like water remembering its fall. A sound like a name unspoken for millennia. It doesn't come from the feather. It comes from USTS. You don't speak it. You don't dare. But the syllable flutters in your chest like the wings of something holy. The feather dims, softening into translucence. And as it does, your hands begin to glow faintly, just at the fingertips. Lines of light trail across your palms, forming curves that resemble letters, though no script you've ever known. You're not learning a language. You're remembering a shape, the shape of truth before it broke into words. Some say that when Adam was formed, the angels debated whether to bow to him. Some resisted, saying man would forget. Others agreed, saying man would return. That the arc of humanity was not perfection but reunion. And the feather? It was left behind to remind you that some sounds are not spoken, they're lived. You tuck it beneath the folds of your garment, and it disappears into the fabric without resistance, as if it's returning to where it once belonged. You rise. The garden around you feels quieter now, but not empty. It feels like a library between pages, or a breath between verses. You walk with greater stillness, not caution, but reverence. You pass a tree bent low from age, its branches curling into itself. A bird sits in its crown, one you don't recognize. Its feathers shimmer like ink spilled across water. It watches you, silent. Then it lifts one wing, revealing another white feather beneath it, nearly identical to yours. You smile, not with your lips, with your soul. The bird tilts its head, then vanishes, gone, as if it had never been. But the air where it perched still hums with the same note you carry under your tongue, a harmony of remembrance. Some say Uriel is the keeper of the eastern gate, the one who guards the dawn. Others whisper that he is the archivist of God's breath, the angel who stores the first syllables until we are ready to hear them. Perhaps he doesn't give the word. Perhaps he simply leaves behind reminders, like feathers and figs and silence that hums. You continue walking, and the fig tree behind you vanishes into the folds of the garden. Not by magic, not by mystery. It simply fades, like a chapter turned with care. Ahead the land begins to rise. A hill, a gentle curve of ground that hums faintly beneath your feet. Your tongue still carries the sleeping syllable. But now you are listening in a different way. Not to find it, to welcome it, whenever it decides to come. You climb the hill slowly, not because it is steep, but because the air thickens as you rise. Not with difficulty, with holiness. Each step feels like a ripple in still water, and you are both the pebble and the pond. The garden is quiet here, not silent, listening. Your tongue tingles again, that now familiar warmth behind your teeth. The syllable is still there, curled like a sleeping child beneath your breath, but something else stirs, deeper. Not sound, not memory. Breath. You reach the crest of the hill and pause. Below you lies a shallow valley, a place untouched by wind, as if air itself holds its breath when it passes through. You descend without sound. The grass here doesn't bend beneath your feet. It welcomes you, supports you, and then, standing in the center of the valley, you find it, a pool, still, mirror-like. Not water exactly, something thicker, like oil mixed with starlight. It doesn't reflect the sky, it reflects inside. You kneel, look down, and what you see isn't your face, it's your form before form. A body of breath, a skeleton made of intent. You see the outline of a rib that never bore weight, a shadow of a lung that inhaled nothingness, and then you hear it. Not a voice, not a word, a pattern, a breath, not just yours. The Beer-star breath, the one that made you. In Genesis 2:7 it is said, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. But what isn't told is how long that breath stayed inside you before you used it. Some say the first breath remained in Adam for 7,000 heartbeats before his first exhale. That it was meant to steep like tea in the soul, so that when he finally breathed out, it would not be noise. It would be meaning. You lean closer to the pool, and the breath returns. It moves through your chest slowly, curling around your ribs like a scroll being unfurled. It touches your spine, your throat, your tongue, and there, beneath your tongue, the syllable stirs again. Not in fire, not in power, in stillness, in awe. You remember now that there was a moment before your first word, a moment when your lungs filled with the breath of God, but you chose not to speak. You held the breath like a candle cupped in both hands, because to speak was to change the world. And you weren't ready. The pool shifts. You see something else. A garden, not of earth, but of sound. A place where language is grown, not spoken. Vines made of vowels, leaves of silence, roots of intention. And hanging from one branch, a fruit shaped like an ear. You remember the feeling of listening before sound. Some say this is what Adam forgot. Not a name, not a law, but the practice of waiting until the breath becomes word without force, until speech grows naturally from silence like blossoms from winter. You rise from the pool, not entirely sure what you've seen, but knowing that it lives inside you. The syllable beneath your tongue has not surfaced. It still sleeps, but now it sleeps with breath. It is no longer alone. It is cradled by memory, by quiet, by time. You exhale. And for the first time, the garden exhales with you. The grass sways, the trees shimmer. The hill behind you sighs gently, like a mountain releasing tension from a dream. The breath has returned. Some believe Adam's silence was not forgetfulness, but faith. That he waited not because he lost the word, but because he loved it too much to say it too soon. You descend from the valley, your steps slow, not from burden, but from reverence. Your tongue no longer aches, it listens, and the syllable it guards listens too. Perhaps that's all it was ever meant to do. You walk gently now, as if each footfall writes something into the world, not in ink or sound, but in softness. The garden unfolds ahead of you like a page turning itself. Every leaf is quieter, every breeze more deliberate. Even the birds, if there are any, seem to hum rather than sing. And somewhere in this hush, you begin to notice something strange. Your name feels split, not broken, not missing, just parted, like a river divided at its mouth. You say it in your mind, Adam, and yet it echoes back incomplete. The syllables feel separated by something more than silence. One half rests on your lips, ready. The other is buried. You pause, place 2 fingers at your throat. There is no pain, just absence. A space where something once vibrated and no longer does. You remember the voice you've never used. The first voice. The one not shaped by air, but by presence. You've never heard it, and yet you miss it. You sit beside a moss-covered stone, one worn smooth by time, too old for memory. You lean your back against it and close your eyes. The warmth of the garden wraps around you like a cloak made of prayer. And there, in the cradle of stillness, a thought surfaces. It is not yours. It is older than you. A syllable once rested beneath your tongue, a half name placed there before the breath ever reached your lungs. But the other half, that was taken, not stolen, not lost. Taken. Gently, like a seed lifted by wind and planted elsewhere. Some say that Adam's name was not meant to be whole in one body, that it was spoken in 2 parts, one held by man, the other held by God, and only in the space between would the full name resonate. Others believe the missing syllable was given to the stars so that every time you looked up, the sky would call you to completion. You open your mouth, no sound escapes, but your teeth tingle. Your tongue presses upward instinctively and brushes something that isn't quite physical. It feels like touching the edge of a veil. You taste it, like honey infused with morning. A sweetness tinged with the ache of what almost was, and then you hear something behind you. Not movement, not voice, a presence. You don't turn immediately. You know this rhythm. You felt it in dreams, in prayers, in moments of stillness too sacred to name. And when you do turn, what you see is not a figure, but a half fold in the garden, as if space itself bent forward, offering something invisible. From within that fold, a whisper hums, not to your ears, but to the space beneath your tongue. It says nothing you can repeat, but you understand it. It speaks of rivers that flow through thought, of syllables woven into the shape of ribs, of names written not in letters, but in pauses. You kneel, not in submission, but in alignment. The whisper quiets, and then you feel it, a second syllable, faint, echoed, not inside you, but nearby, as if the other half of your name has been watching all along, waiting in the shadows of the trees, tucked in the flutter of fig leaves, whispered through the roots. You press your hand to the earth, it pulses once, and beneath your palm, you feel the syllable not of man, but of origin, the other half, the one that completes you, not with power, but with peace. But it does not enter you. It stays beneath the surface, just close enough to be remembered, far enough to remain sacred. Some mystics say this was the design all along, that the full name of Adam was too holy for one being to carry. That wholeness was always meant to be a relationship, not a possession. And so you rise, carrying your syllable, and somewhere beneath the garden, the other half rests. You walk again, not to chase, not to reclaim, but to honor. Some things are not meant to be spoken, only echoed. The path ahead narrows, not with vines or stone, but with stillness, as if the garden itself has drawn closer, pulling its breath inward. You pass beneath arching branches that form no arch, yet feel like gates. The air here is cooler, silkier, brushed with the scent of something faintly sweet, like crushed myrrh or the whisper of rain that has not yet fallen. And there, ahead, is Eve. She does not speak. She does not need to. She is seated beneath a tree whose roots curl gently, like fingers laced in prayer. The branches above her shift slightly, though there is no wind. Their motion is more like breathing, long, slow, and sacred. Her gaze meets yours, and the garden holds its breath. Her eyes are not questions. They are not answers. They are recognition. You walk slowly toward her, and the earth seems to welcome every step. She tilts her head just slightly, as if to say, "You've remembered something, haven't you?" You want to speak. But the word, that curled syllable beneath your tongue, stays folded. Not asleep now, awake, but reverent. You sit beside her, and the silence is perfect. Some say Eve was made from your rib. Others say she was carved from your breath. But here in this moment, neither of you feels lesser or greater. You feel like echoes of a song sung once in eternity. Two verses separated by flesh, joined by silence. She closes her eyes, and when she opens them again, she is weeping. Not from sorrow, from memory. Her tears fall soundlessly onto the grass, and each one hums faintly as it lands. A note, a syllable, a shape. You listen to them as if listening to stars hum their names across the firmament. You reach out, not with hands, but with stillness, and she nods. Some traditions say Eve never forgot the first language, that while Adam carried the syllable beneath his tongue, Eve carried the meaning in her eyes, that the garden itself opened to her not through words, but through watching. You understand now. The missing half of your name, it is not beneath the ground. It is not held by God alone. It is reflected in her gaze, in the silence between your breaths, in the space where speech would ruin what presence completes. She reaches toward you, and her fingers pause just above your chest, not touching. The air between you quivers. You feel it again, the word, not rising, not falling, spiraling. The word you forgot, the one that slipped from you before the breath could give it shape. It spins now, slowly, behind your lips, and she sees it. She does not ask for it. She does not fear it. She simply knows. Some say that when Eve was formed, she was given the second syllable, not to own, but to remember on Adam's behalf, that the fullness of their names could only be known in nearness, in unity, not through speech, but through gaze. You open your mouth and then close it again, Not because the moment isn't right, because the moment is. To speak it now would make it smaller. So you say nothing. Eve smiles gently, and her smile is not an answer. It is a mirror. You rest your hand on hers, and for a brief moment, you both breathe the same breath. One exhale, held between your ribs and hers. It is not romantic. It is not ritual. It is remembrance. You rise together. No words are exchanged. But the syllable beneath your tongue no longer trembles. It rests now like a pearl in the mouth of a wave. Some say Adam forgot. Others say Eve remembered. But perhaps it was never about forgetting or remembering. Perhaps it was about holding the word in silence until the garden could sing it for you. You and Eve walk now, not side by side, but near, like shadows moving in parallel beneath the same great hush. There is no need to speak. The silence between you stretches, but it does not pull. It holds. And beneath your tongue, the syllable waits, not with urgency, but with patience, like a candle not yet lit, content simply to glow from within. The trees begin to part. Ahead, the garden thins into a corridor of river and root. The path narrows to soft earth flanked by water. But this river is strange. It does not flow forward, it flows backward. You pause at its edge and watch. The current moves in reverse, winding upstream toward a place beyond the horizon. The water glimmers with starlight, though there are no stars above. It moves like memory, not returning, but rewinding. Eve does not follow. This is your walk now. You step gently into the stream. The water is cool but not cold. It wraps around your ankles like silk, remembering the shape of a soul. Each step upstream feels like stepping deeper into something you left behind long ago. The river whispers, not in language, in images. A tree with no roots, a trumpet buried in clay, a scroll falling open in the wind, and always, always a sound just behind the sound. A hum that trembles behind your teeth. You follow it. In Genesis 2, the river Pishon flows around the land of Havilah, where there is gold. But there are other rivers not fully named, and in some traditions, the hidden ones, it is said that one river flowed backward, that it did not come from Eden, but returned to it, carrying all things forgotten. Some call it the river of undoing. Others say it is where Adam once whispered the first sound, but spoke it too softly, and the water swallowed it. You wade deeper until the water touches your waist. The world around you dims slightly. Not darker, just slower, as if even light must listen here. You bend and cup the water in your hands. It shimmers, then stills, and in its surface you see your mouth, open, forming a sound but no voice. The syllable behind your tongue presses upward gently. You part your lips, and the river pulls the sound back. Not out of you, out of time. The moment you nearly speak, the river takes it, absorbs it, cradles it. You gasp softly. It is not theft, it is protection. The river knows you are not ready, and so it keeps the syllable safe. You kneel now, letting the current press against your chest. It pushes without pushing. You close your eyes, and you hear it. A sound rising not from water, not from wind, but from beneath the current, like the voice of the riverbed itself. It sings, just one note, round, hollow, full, and you know, this is where the sound beneath your tongue was once placed, long ago, by you perhaps, or by something in you that loved silence more than certainty. Some say that Adam whispered into this river before speech was ever written, that he gave it the syllable as a gift, a promise, to only speak it again when the world was quiet enough to hear. You lie back into the stream now, letting it carry you, not forward, not back, but inward. Time folds. Memories flicker like lanterns beneath the surface. The dust beneath your fingers. The fig that breathed. The feather that hummed Eve's knowing tears. And always, always, the word unsaid. You let the current carry you until the world stills again. When you rise, the water drips from your skin like ink from the end of a story not yet told. You stand at the river's edge, the syllable once again beneath your tongue. But now it is calmer, like it trusts you. Some say the river will carry that sound until the end of days, when all names are returned to their source. But you carry it too. and you walk away from the water, not empty, but filled with the echo of what was never lost.
There is a strange beauty in the idea that emptiness can carry so much meaning, that by staring into the deepest darkness, we may glimpse the purest light of the beginning. Voids are not merely the leftovers of cosmic growth. They are the untouched canvas, the raw backdrop against which all things have unfolded. They whisper of a time before galaxies, before stars, before even atoms, a time when the universe was quiet, simple, and full of potential.
Things you think of and invent. I know, said Victoria. My uncles, Dr. Ponce Foot Jones, and before him, the bishop. And at that, she suddenly remembered what it was she had been going to ask Edward at Basra when Mrs. Clayton had interrupted by calling them in for drinks. I meant to ask you before, she said. How did you know about the bishop? She felt the hand that held hers stiffen suddenly. He said quickly, too quickly. Why, you told me, didn't you? Victoria looked at him. It was odd, she thought afterwards, that one silly childish slip should have accomplished what it did. For he was taken completely by surprise. He had no story ready. His face was suddenly defenseless and unmasked. And as she looked at him, everything shifted and settled itself into a pattern, exactly as a kaleidoscope does, and she saw the truth. Perhaps it was not really sudden. Perhaps in her subconscious mind that question, how did Edward know about the bishop, had been teasing and worrying, and she had been slowly arriving at the inevitable answer. Edward had not learned about the Bishop of Youghal from her, and the only other person he could have learned it from would have been Mr. or Mrs. Hamilton Clipp. But they could not possibly have seen Edward since her arrival in Baghdad. For Edward had been in Basra then, so he must have learned it from them before he himself left England. He must have known all along, then, that Victoria was coming out with them, and the whole wonderful coincidence was not, after all, a coincidence. It was planned and intended. And as she stared at Edward's unmasked face, she knew, suddenly, what Carmichael had meant by Lucifer. She knew what he had seen that day as he looked along the passage to the consulate garden. He had seen that young beautiful face that she was looking at now, for it was a beautiful face. Lucifer, son of the morning, how art thou fallen? Not Dr. Rathbone, Edward. Edward, playing a minor part, the part of the secretary, but controlling and planning and directing, using Rathbone as a figurehead, and Rathbone warning her to go while she could. As she looked at that beautiful evil face, all her silly adolescent calf love faded away, and she knew that what she felt for Edward had never been love. It had been the same feeling that she had experienced some hours earlier for Humphrey Bogart, and later for the Duke of Edinburgh. It had been glamour, and Edward had never loved her. He had exerted his charm and his glamour deliberately. He had picked her up that day, using his charm so easily, so naturally, that she had fallen for it without a struggle. She had been a sucker. It was extraordinary how much could flash through your mind in just a few seconds. You didn't have to think it out. It just came, full and instant knowledge. Perhaps because really, underneath, you had known it all along. And at the same time, some instinct of self-preservation, quick as all.
River unwinding time. Eve's tear carving a silent note into the earth. All these were chapters. But the scroll is the margin, the breath between. Some mystics say Adam's forgotten scroll contained no prophecy, no law, only the contours of a song that could never be sung, a melody shaped by restraint. That those who could read it would not hear words, but remember their own stillness. You smile gently. You do not need to read it. You already live it. You stand slowly, careful not to disturb the scroll's position in the roots. The tree above it rustles softly, its leaves forming the shape of a spiral as they move. A breath spiral. You take one last look, and as you turn to walk, the scroll remains open, not waiting to be found again, but watching, like a mirror that never asked to be gazed into, but welcomes it all the same. And beneath your tongue, the syllable does not fade. It settles. You are no longer a carrier of silence. You are part of its script. Some say Eden holds not one scroll but many, and that every silent breath written by Adam remains somewhere in the soil, waiting not to be read aloud, but to be walked into. You leave the scroll behind, though it does not feel like leaving, more like entrusting. As you step away, the garden seems to widen again. its breath less inward, more welcoming, as if something has shifted between you and the silence. You are not carrying a mystery anymore. You are becoming it. The path winds gently into a clearing framed by tall trees, their trunks pale as bone, the branches like open arms. And there, standing at the edge of shadow and light, is an angel. You do not see a face, you see presence. The angel is tall but not imposing, wrapped in folds of fabric that shimmer like parchment in wind. Its form is defined not by light, but by intention. No sword, no halo, no sound. And yet, it waits. You approach slowly, not from fear but respect. The garden is quiet around you. No birds, no wind, only stillness. The angel lifts one hand to you, palm open, gesture plain, welcome. Then the angel brings its other hand to its own throat and pauses. Where the voice should be, there is nothing. No mouth, no voice box, only smooth, uninterrupted stillness. The angel speaks with silence. You feel it more than hear it, a kind of impression pressed gently into your spirit, like fingers into soft clay. You are heard. Then, you do not need to speak. You stand before this being, the syllable still tucked beneath your tongue like a small ember, soft and sacred. It flickers now, not urgently, in rhythm with your breath, at peace. You realize the angel is not here to receive the word from you. It is here to mirror what you've learned, that some things were never meant to be uttered, only carried. In the mystical writings, Uriel and other angels are said to be scribes of silence, guardians not of law, but of pause. There are stories of angels who delivered messages by removing sound from the world, that the truest revelations were wrapped in quiet, not thunder. This angel seems one of them. It gestures again, open hand, closed eyes, a question. Will you hold the word? Will you honor its silence? You nod, not in answer, in agreement. The angel steps aside, allowing you to pass through the ring of pale trees. As you walk by, your shoulder brushes the fabric of its robe. It feels like wind that knows your name. And in that instant, the syllable beneath your tongue glows, softly, steadily, like breath exhaled in prayer. Some say these angels, the voiceless ones, carry within them the words that humanity is not yet ready for, that they wait not for judgment, but for stillness, that they speak only when the last word is remembered, not revealed. You look back once. The angel stands still, but the silence behind you is deeper now, not empty, held. You continue forward, the path softer beneath your steps. The garden no longer feels like a place. It feels like a breath you're walking through. And you are walking, not towards something, but with something. The syllable is no longer a burden, nor a secret. It is you. The trees thin again, and the air shifts to something softer, still, but golden, as if the light here doesn't shine from above, but rises gently from the ground. Every blade of grass hums quietly. Every stone rests with purpose. You walk slower now, not from fatigue, but reverence. And there it is, the fig tree again, not the one from before, but the same species, as though its spirit has followed you here in new form. This one is smaller, older, its bark furrowed like pages in a book left too long in sun. Its branches curve low to the earth, cupping the soil like a cradle. And there, just beneath a draping root, is something half buried, not glowing, not humming. Still, you kneel and clear away the earth, a fig leaf, curled gently in on itself like a sleeping child. Its surface is smooth, pale, and dry to the touch. Yet it carries weight, not of mass, but of memory. You lift it carefully and turn it over. Beneath it is not a seed, not a stone, but a sound. You don't hear it with your ears. You feel it, a hum that vibrates in your jaw, in your teeth, in the hollow behind your eyes. A syllable resting there, just below the surface of the world, mirroring the one beneath your tongue. And you realize they are the same. This is the place where you once hid it long ago, before memory, before Eve, before the whisperers came. You buried the syllable here, wrapped in the oldest leaf, placed into the dirt not as shame, but as promise. You press your hand into the soil. It is warm. The earth hums around your fingers, soft vibrations like the aftershock of breath withheld for generations. Some apocryphal traditions speak of this act. that Adam, upon awakening in the garden, carried a sound too sacred to bear. And so he folded it into a fig leaf, kissed it once, and buried it beneath the tree, whose roots grow sideways into time. They say the angels did not stop him. They wept because they understood to speak it would have been power. To kibri, it was love. You look at the leaf again. It has begun to curl open, not rapidly, gently. Its edges lift like eyelids from sleep, revealing not text, not light, but space. A hollow shaped exactly like the breath you've carried all this time. You lower your head, touch your lips to the center of the leaf, not to retrieve the word, to return it. Your tongue moves slightly. The syllable stirs again, pressing upward, but you hold it. And the leaf glows faintly, just once, a pulse, and then stillness. The leaf curls closed. The soil accepts it once more, and something shifts inside you. Not loss, not silence. Peace. You sit back. The fig tree's branches sway ever so slightly. One leaf falls and lands near your foot. Its veins resemble a river you once walked backward. Its stem points to a scroll you never wrote. Its edges curl like the trumpet you buried in the mud. Everything has echoed toward this. Some say the last syllable of Adam's first breath was never lost, only shared, with the world in quiet ways, in the bend of a tree root, in feather of a silent angel, in the river that runs against time. And some say that once it is returned to stillness, Eden itself begins to remember. You rise, no longer carrying, no longer waiting. The syllable is no longer beneath your tongue. It is in the earth, where it always longed to rest. You walk now as if the garden walks with you. There is no path, yet every step feels chosen. No direction, yet you move with certainty. The air has grown stiller, more sacred, as though sound has bowed its head in reverence. The sky, if it can still be called that, arches above you like the inside of a whispered word, pale, quiet, endless. There are no stars, but there is memory in the light. Ahead, a space opens between the trees. You enter slowly. The earth here is soft, worn smooth by presence. Not footprints, presence. As if others have stood here in stillness and placed nothing upon the land, but listening. And at the center of this silence, you see nothing. No scroll, no tree, no altar, no trumpet, only space. But it feels full, full of breath that hasn't yet been used. Full of names never spoken. Full of echoes not of sound, but of stillness. You step into the center and pause. There is no sound. And yet, there is music. The hum of everything you've passed. The fig trees, the feather, the river, Eve's silence, the trumpet buried in the dust. All of it returns now, not as memory, but as presence. It circles you gently. And then, you hear something. Not with your ears. From within. A voice, your voice, but not speaking. It rests. It fills you not as message, but as meaning. You are not reciting. You are becoming. You sleep, but not in the way you once knew sleep. It's a slowness that deepens, a descent into the folds of creation itself. Beneath the fig tree, time loosens like a knot unraveling under warm water. Your breath becomes soft rhythm. Your body becomes earth. Your silence becomes language. When you stir, it is not mourning. There is no mourning here, only states of remembrance. And above you, drifting like a snowflake made of memory, is a single white feather. It floats with no wind, as if drawn by something within you. It spins slowly, catching light that does not fall from the sky. When it lands, it rests gently on your chest, right above your heart. You touch it, and something inside you tightens, a joy, maybe, or sorrow. A yearning so ancient it has no name. This is not an ordinary feather. You know that without question. In the Book of Enoch, it is written that the archangel Uriel descended to guide, not to punish. That his presence was gentle and burning, like a candle held in fog. Some say he once dropped a single feather from the edge of the firmament, and that it carried not fire nor law, but a sound that no one remembered, and yet everyone recognized. You hold the feather now and it's warm. Not from the sun, there's no sun here, but from intention. A feather that remembers where it fell from. You bring it near your lips. It hums, not in tone, but in feeling. As if the feather itself is vibrating with a syllable it cannot say. A syllable you almost remember. Your tongue awakens again. That familiar soft heat. the feeling of something trying to bloom from silence, and the feather pulses once, then twice. You close your eyes, and you hear it. Not with your ears, but behind your ribs, where spirit listens. A sound like breath held in gold. A sound like water remembering its fall. A sound like a name unspoken for millennia. It doesn't come from the feather. It comes from USTS. You don't speak it. You don't dare. But the syllable flutters in your chest like the wings of something holy. The feather dims, softening into translucence. And as it does, your hands begin to glow faintly, just at the fingertips. Lines of light trail across your palms, forming curves that resemble letters, though no script you've ever known. You're not learning a language. You're remembering a shape, the shape of truth before it broke into words. Some say that when Adam was formed, the angels debated whether to bow to him. Some resisted, saying man would forget. Others agreed, saying man would return. That the arc of humanity was not perfection but reunion. And the feather, it was left behind to remind you that some sounds are not spoken, they're lived. You tuck it beneath the folds of your garment, and it disappears into the fabric without resistance, as if it's returning to where it once belonged. You rise. The garden around you feels quieter now, but not empty. It feels like a library between pages.